And
I'm live, by the way.
oh, hey,
Yeah.
everybody.
Um. Yeah. Look, I will say there is some technical issues on something with my internet. I don't know. Maybe I have to call my provider. I don't know what's going on. Um. It's like, look, but here's the thing with you guys. I wasn't going to do it in the middle of the podcast. I felt like it was better just to go ahead and do it now than to do it while we're doing the podcast. Probably do StreamYards for a couple weeks until I figure out exactly what's going on. Because StreamYards seems to pretty reliable in a lot of scenarios. But we'll get that taken care of later. Welcome to the Attic Show, where we talk about the past, present, and future of gaming. I got my co-host with me, Hustle and Motivate. What's going on, Hustle?
Having some technical issues dealing with this. I don't want a virtual back. Hey, look, Addict, this has been so long since I've used StreamYards. Oh, here we go. Now we're fine. Everything's cool. If y'all haven't done so, make sure y'all check out my last live stream. I did it Monday. I'm doing a live stream every Saturday now. Everything's been cool. Just dealt with some personal stuff last week. Just kind of wrapping that stuff up now. That's why I'm here today, and I feel good. I feel really good. I'm still playing Kingdom Hearts, Addict. I probably won't stream it no more though. I'm still playing that. I promise.
Why ain't you
It's,
streaming it anymore?
eh, it started to feel like work, and I don't want nothing to feel like work.
Feel
That's
like
all.
work.
Yeah, it just felt like work.
I hear that. And then we got we got my friend I've had for a few years, man. We got Timdog. How you doing, Timdog?
Doing all right. Just got off of work. Happy to be here. Got a good little show here going on, and we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we do. We definitely have a lot to talk about today, man. It's been a very eventful week in gaming, may I add. I think we could all agree on that. As you guys can see, we have some good topics for you guys. I don't know exactly what we're going to talk about first. I feel like the best thing to talk about first would most likely be, I think we're going to leave the Starfield for a little bit later on the show because I think that's the key focus that everyone's got here. The thing that I think we're going to talk about first is that God of War 2022 and whether or not it's coming out this year. For those of you that see it, I have on occasion jumped out the window when it comes to this game getting delayed. It does look like this game's probably coming out. Now, it's not confirmed, obviously. I do feel like there's a good chance that it's coming out this year because of how they're moving. For those of you that don't know, they actually are hiring some people in marketing right now. So that can mean either way. That doesn't necessarily mean that this game is coming out right now. It just means that they're looking for people in marketing to help push out this product, which, as you can ask both the people on this panel, I'm sure, hiring can be very time consuming. So we don't know exactly how long it's going to take to get this individual, and we don't know exactly what it means that they're doing it now. Wouldn't you guys agree on that?
Yeah, but I figured like they in the home stretch. If you're hiring for the marketing and promotion of something, I kind of feel like the game is done at this point. And I don't know if you guys have been paying attention on Twitter, but every so often we'll get these tweets from just different people who work with Sony Santa Monica, and they'll just on occasion be like, "Hey, me and my daughter played this thing. I can't wait for God of War." That's all a rollout. The rollout, everything's a rollout first and foremost, but all that's a rollout, man. And I'm glad. Hey, listen to Flame in the chat too, Addict. Something may be wrong with your audio. But I'm kind of yeah. I'm glad everything is like kind of rolling. At least something. At least this won't get delayed this year. Unlike a couple other games that we'll talk about, and later on in the pod. But I mean, we need something. Something new. I prefer to have something new this year. That's all I'm saying. How you feel, Tim?
I honestly feel it's going to hit. From what I've heard from people that are pretty good sources that have pretty good sources within Sony, they're hitting their spots. So I'm going to say it's more than likely it's going to hit.
Question to you guys: do you think that? I honestly feel like it's a very good year for Sony. They're able to pop out in terms of first party, pop out Horizon Forbidden West. their racing game, whatever that game's called,
Gran Turismo,
and God of War all in the same year. I feel like that's a very, very solid year for PlayStation. Don't you guys agree?
Oh yeah, and
For sure.
and this is why it's important for PlayStation to say seize the moment. You know, the ball is in their court, so to speak. This I if I'm a Sony fan, which I kind of am, I would love for all of that to happen, because like the perfect way you cap the year off is that you start off strong, and then, you know, even if you don't, you know, work the way through the middle, like you just give it a little bit of an appetizer, but you got to make sure you finish strong with one of the most anticipated PlayStation titles pretty much of last generation for the sequel coming up this generation. So I think it's cool for them, man. And it looked like they're gonna hit their stride. That's what it looks like right now.
Yeah, people in the chat are bringing up they did have Ghostwire Tokyo and Forspoken. Forgot about those games.
Hell.
Look, Forspoken looks okay for someone that
I
likes.
do want to play that.
I think I'd rather, like, I don't know. I don't even have like a weird analogy right now. Maybe like what's that thing happen when you like remove your eyeball? What is that like?
No, I don't know.
I don't know. Whatever it is, I think I'd rather remove my eyeball than play that Forspoken. It looks pretty. I'm not saying it looks like a bad game. It just doesn't look very appealing to me. I don't know about you guys, but you know, but regardless what it is, Sony still went above and beyond to make sure that their player base had that. And I think that, you know, what I want to ask Timdog too, I feel like Microsoft needs to improve on that third party content stuff. Like, look, I want first party, and I think first party is extremely important. But I think at this point we've gotten to see that Sony, with this third party, these third party deals, these timed exclusives, it's doing a very big number to Microsoft. Because sure, God of War Forbidden West is big, but I think we've gotten to the point where these third parties that they've probably secured is hitting just as hard as some of their other first party stuff. What do you think about that, Timdog? Do you think that they need to really focus a little bit more on that third party aspect, that, you know, get some timed exclusives? I think that, you know, everyone could really appreciate that.
Yeah, like they should really go out and buy Activision. I mean, if they're available, you buy Activision. No, listen. I think that you look at the situation. Xbox is going to take a different tack than Sony. They're not going to look for short-term exclusive deals, windows. Phil has always said he's not about that. What they will do is what you saw earlier in the year. They'll buy a whole entire third-party publisher and knock the socks off the world, and that's exactly if they can do that, they will. If they can get it passed, as we know, right now it's in litigation, or whatever you want to call it, or regulation. But I just think they're two different companies with two different mindsets. I think Xbox rather have the whole kit and caboodle within their stack and distribute it from there, versus the way Sony's doing it with these 1 year to 2 year exclusives. Now they are a very, they, like you said, they are definitely an advantage, and they're doing good. I just think like Xbox is a different way of going about it than Sony. I don't think that Xbox, even though they should at this point, as we'll go into the further of the show when we get to the delays, maybe they can get some type of third-party deal with a AAA third-party vendor for Game Pass. But I don't really think that's, like I said, to reiterate, I think that they rather actually buy the third party and make it themselves, and just have such a robust third party, first party, where you don't really need third party in any capacity. Obviously it's a joke right now, they're not there, but in their ultimate vision, if you're distributing 5 games AAAs a year or 4 AAAs a year, you really don't need that.
And I agree with you on everything. I do feel like Microsoft's going to approach stuff different because they have something like Game Pass, and instead of going out and securing timed exclusives that probably cost a lot more money, it would make more like sense, considering the way they structure their business, to go after timed exclusive Game Pass deals. I do agree with you on that, but there's one thing I will push back a little bit on Timdog is I do feel like because of stuff like Final Fantasy VII Remake, Persona 5, all these games that Sony's went above and beyond to secure because they don't make those games anymore. I do feel like, and Forspoken, don't want to forget that maybe Microsoft, maybe not necessarily go after the big AAA stuff, be a little bit more aggressive getting those games on your platform, but go after more stuff that kind of like Nintendo does, where the Triangle Strategies, the Octopath Travelers, maybe get those games exclusive as a time thing going into Game Pass and to be on your console exclusive. Because I do feel like in terms of that Japanese market, that China market, that market that's not the American or even Europe to a point, they're failing in that kind of lack and in the masses that they kind of want. So I feel like, I agree with you on like the Western stuff, but I do feel like maybe they need to be a little bit more strategic and spend a little bit more money in terms of exclusivity when it comes to that Eastern market, that timed exclusives on like the Final Fantasies. What do you think on that, Tim? Do you think maybe that's an area that they can broaden their horizons and not necessarily do stuff that makes sense to us in terms of their model with Game Pass?
Yeah, no, you make a good point. Listen, in the end of the day, they're not up to par with what Sony offers as far as their JRPGs and personas and the deals that they have. And that's because, Sony's always been aggressive where Xbox, you take some of these third party JRPGs, they come to Sony by default, and Xbox has to make a play and spend money to get them just to release it on their platform, and that's if they'll do it, the third party. So 100%, yeah, they are behind, and I think that they actually have looked in Japan, and they are starting some stuff, but they're way behind. But I know Phil had wanted to get a Japan studio for the longest time. But for whatever reason, they've met resistance. They've haven't kind of fulfilled their, prophecy there. I mean, we had Phil go out there for a while, make some deals, and we had some, some things here and there. But listen, this platform still doesn't have Atlas games, still doesn't have Persona, and there's some gaping holes there that. If they want to be serious in the JRPG and the Japanese and the Asian market, like you said, they got to be more involved there. Now, I'll say this much: E3 is coming around the corner. Maybe they have some surprise for us. I do know that Sarah Bond is more values. I believe more of the traditional JRPGs and those type of games more than Phil. And I do think that she has a strong playing hand with this. So I do think you will see a little bit of a better output, but until we start seeing Persona and maybe even Final Fantasy VII, I can't believe it's still not on Xbox. Even after 2 years, it's going to be. You really have to say that they're not doing their job in there, and they're always going to be, not even second fiddle, third fiddle. And I don't know. I mean, for me, my outlook always on Japan has always been bleak. So I don't know what they can do. I remember in the 360 era, they went really hard, but they probably had maybe a 5%, cut through. They didn't really do well. They didn't do as well as they had to do. And if they try that again, I don't know if they would get the results that they would want. I do believe that the Xbox is recognized as a Western console, and there are some things there that kind of don't feel as home as maybe a Sony or a Nintendo does in Japan. And I think that's a problem that they have to get past or try to get past, but it's a dubious problem for them.
I agree, and definitely want to push it to Hustle, let him give his response on that. I personally feel like everyone's not going to take Microsoft seriously in that lane unless, they get those timed exclusives or even maybe make a fresh JRPG studio from the ground up. Maybe now, since they have the studio that they got with Bethesda, trying to remember its name. Someone help me.
Tango.
Tango. Yeah, Tango. Maybe they have a little bit more wiggle room that they can actually do something more in Japan. How do you feel about the hustle? Do you think that Microsoft needs to be a little bit more aggressive in terms of the JRPG market or the Japanese market in general?
Man, absolutely. If that's the one area that you're lacking in as far as getting the Eastern audience, get the games they like. I mean, it's not a thing. I think Timdog had just brought it up. Yeah. Final Fantasy VII. I forgot it was out, and yeah, it's not on Xbox yet. I don't even think it's on. No, it's on PC, right? Isn't it on PC? But it's not on X. I think it's everywhere but
It's on
Xbox.
PC, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, so that's a whole misstep with them too. And if you ordered like a special edition, because I don't know if y'all remember, but they did have didn't they have like Best Buy had like a special box collector's edition on PlayStation and Xbox? Or am I wrong? I know I'm not wrong here because I know I tried to buy one. Either way, you haven't gotten it.
I think they've had some things where it was crossed over, where it's always been teased.
Mm-hmm.
But it was kind of a foregone conclusion that it was going to come after the year of supposed exclusivity. But like you said, I mean, I've seen stuff like that too. It just never came to fruition. And now, I think we're at 2 years, and if it's at 2 years, it's, I would say, pretty bleak.
Okay, now I didn't want to say this. I kind of wanted to mention this. We just saw Square get rid of their Western studios. So it's rumored, it's heavily rumored that Sony may be announcing an acquisition for Square soon. If they announce that acquisition and it goes through, would Xbox fans still be able to get Final Fantasy VII? Is it like an obligational thing that they have to agree to, or is it because if you haven't gotten it now, if Sony buys them, would you even get it at all? Would you even get that game at all? I guess that's my question.
I think part of me feels like Sony. Look, here's just let me put the conspiracy cap on.
Okay.
I feel like Sony and Square Enix have been talking for a while about a possible purchase, and I feel like Sony is about to buy Square Enix. I don't know why. Part of me feels like there's a reason that they separated their Western market, especially Guardians of the Galaxy. It wasn't a commercial success, but I do think that it did well enough to justify more progress with that kind of brand. I feel like they cut them because they know that margins up their price point, and I think they're trying to sell to Sony. I'm not saying that they did anything intentionally with Xbox to not entice Sony to not buy them, but I do feel like there might have been like okay, we work with us to work with you. I think it's one of those things where it's like, maybe the reason we ain't seen Final Fantasies because Square Enix kind of knows that the sequels aren't going to be on Xbox. And even if they put the first one on Xbox, I feel like Square Enix knows they're about to be bought. And they've probably known for a while. And that's the reason they're not very aggressive with putting it on Xbox. Now, when it comes to Octopath Traveler, stuff that they publish, I think that's different. They know they're going to make money from that because those things aren't going to have sequels and stuff. If you look at it from a standpoint, we ain't heard nothing about the next Dragon Quest being coming to Xbox. We ain't heard nothing about any Final Fantasy 16, 14. All the Final Fantasies have left Game Pass now. And guess where they are? They're on PlayStation Plus. So it is what it is. If they buy them, they buy them. And it's the same mentality I had when it comes to Bethesda. You get to keep the spoils of war. And they won that encouragement with buying Square Enix. Timdog, do you think there's a realm where Sony buys Square Enix?
To be honest, I don't know. The recent comments were pointing in the other direction, but it obviously seems like the most logical decision, and it does seem like you guys are saying, I feel the same way. It is going to eventually happen. So I don't know. I think it's 50-50, but I do think that these timed exclusive deals, either way, Sony's going to be in real solid position with Square Enix to where they get these exclusives, and that's not going to stop. So whether they are purchased and they're in their home studios, or if they are just a silent partner where they keep these games off of Xbox, it has the same direct result. And You look at Final Fantasy VII, never came to Xbox. Final Fantasy 16, I doubt they saying it's a year exclusive, but that could just be for PC. And it could be that they being that they know that they're so close and possibly they know down the road that there might be a purchase that's just going to be even more of an incentive for them to kind of keep this exclusivity the way they're doing it, whether it's time 2 years or 1 year. I mean, you look at Forspoken, it's 2 years. So I think they're the logical partner, and I do think that it's just a studio that either or you look at Sony's portfolio, that they're going to have a strong presence there, and when you look at Xbox's portfolio, you're going to see a lacking presence. So I think that's going to continue no matter what, purchased or not.
And let me pick it back off Tim real quick, Addict, before you jump in. Yeah, Xbox sadly has never had a presence in Japan. So if I'm Square, no matter how much money Microsoft would offer me, I still wouldn't take it. Because like they ain't finna get no like real return on that. Or like I got a feeling those numbers will be down. Excuse me, Addict. I know you like the JRPGs, but you my friend are like one in like, let's say, the average 10 Xbox fans. And I'm being generous when I say that. So like, nah, like, when I see something like this, like a Kingdom Hearts, I bought that based off of your recommendation. But like a lot of people they're not gonna do that. They're just gonna play Halo, Gears, and Forza, man. I'm just gonna keep it ghetto with you. They're not gonna care.
I agree with you in terms of maybe JRPGs aren't as popular as they are on like other platforms on Xbox, but if you want to build a service like Game Pass and you want to expand it to other regions such as China, Japan, you are going to have to pursue these avenues, because just because the Western audience don't want these don't mean other audiences that you expand to is not going to want it. What'd you say, Timdog?
Yeah, especially when you look at the possibilities with cloud and touch gaming. JRPGs are perfect for cloud gaming. You don't really need that much. They're not fast-paced games. A lot of them are turn-based. Some of them you could probably play all by touch. So maybe outside the pocket, outside the box here, that they definitely can try from that. Even if they get the games that way on the platform, I think it's a smart thing. I just think that it's smart to even if you're spending money, and I think they don't like doing that. That they believe it's a third party's duty to kind of distribute, evenly. But when 15 people are buying it on Xbox and 3,000 are buying it on Sony, you really can't blame the third party. And in a way, you have to make it incentivize for that third party to release their game. So they have to some way somehow make it where they can get these games on. I don't know if they can allocate some budget, but it's just smart to have these JRPGs on the system, regardless of even the low player counts, because I do think it can grow into something, and I do think it's something where if you're a gamer and you have an adequate amount of JRPGs, you say, okay, I'll stick with Xbox. I don't really have to go and I'll stick to them primary. But let's say you are a gamer and you get no JRPGs, you might be swayed to say, you know what, screw this. This is bullshit, and I'm going to go to Sony. And I've seen that with some people. Stuff like that can sway people. So you have to consider everything, even though if it's just not straight in your face, you have to consider every kind of, buying points that you can get. And I just think it's smart business to have a JRPG presence and Japanese presence on the platform, for a bunch of reasons, xCloud being a big one.
And it's like I said, at the end of the day, Game Pass is a very profitable thing if they do it right. If you only worry about the Western and some of the Eastern regions, and you only worry about are we going to do good in Europe? I feel like you're hurting your growth. But I personally feel like the best way to succeed in this is to make a couple studios that make these type of games. But if that's not something that's realistic and they don't want to put the kind of money into that, because that's expensive. But I feel like we've seen over and over again in the past, and I know we've kind of went a little bit away from the God of War thing, but it's a good conversation, so I'll let it go. To me, you need to show the Eastern developers, you need to show them, look, we respect your culture. We're investing into it. We're putting money back there because we've seen, Phil Spencer say in interviews, I can't 100% rock with the Xbox brand, but I don't even see it in my own stores that often. I don't see it prominent in my own stores. And that's what they're saying to him publicly, privately. There's going to be a lot more. Why am I rocking with the Xbox when they don't even own an own studio here? Why am I rocking with the Xbox when they're not investing into our market? Because when you're not paying people like Sony to make games for you, timed exclusively, I guess you could count that, but I wouldn't. I feel like investing into a culture is starting a studio there, employing people to work there, paying people well there, paying people to work in your studio there. I feel like that is what's going to get eyes when people are like, yo, Xbox is paying good money. Let's go work there. They got their own studios here. That's why I feel like Sega is a very profitable thing for them to purchase, because I feel like owning Sega would start waves. People would be enticed to do stuff. And especially when you're starting to not poach, but be better places to work than the places around you in Japan. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense, Tim?
Yeah, it makes sense to me, 100%. And that's kind of my point. Like what I was saying, it was kind of like what I felt like. Some of these, unwritten rules or whatever the case you want to say. Like I would say the show, when the show wasn't on Xbox, a lot of people would say, I'm not rocking with the Xbox. It doesn't even have baseball on it, And I think that's kind of like a little bit similar to this, where if you're not even showing any kind of presence, you could turn off people, and you can you could just take even somebody who just has they just want to have some RPGs or JRPGs in their catalog. And when you're not having any, it's like it definitely could hurt your business. So I think it's in their best interest to have a better. I think obviously, as we reiterated, for them to do better here. But we've been saying this for how long, and I just don't know how fruitful the conversation is over there.
Oh yeah, and I agree. And I think that's one of the reasons that's made PlayStation so successful, was they was successful on that side of the world, and they did it over here. They focused, because they were like, we got our home good. Let's focus over there. Let's make them games they want over there. Let's make the Uncharteds. And if you really think about it, a lot of their core audience has moved away from the Japanese thing. Naughty Dog, God of War. These aren't really Eastern type of games. They're Western audience games. And I think that's what's made PlayStation so successful, is we have our partners. We have Square Enix we can reach out to. We can get this part fine. Let's go over there and work on God of War. Let's get the Western audience on board. And I think that's what's very been beneficial to them. But let's go and get this $10 super chat real quick. We got a $10 super chat from Don Otaku. I bet you were surprised I pronounced that correctly, aren't you? Final Fantasy 15, Tales of Horizon, Scarlet Nexus are examples of Xbox versions having higher attach rates of copies sold to amount of consoles compared to the PS4. So it's not like Xbox is hopeless. Now, okay.
Fun fact, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that those games sold more. I'm gonna take his word for that loosely, because I'm not gonna look that up in the middle of the podcast.
He didn't say sell more. He said that it's basically per attach rate.
It's selling more on Xbox than other games than would have. You know what's interesting about those games, Hustle and Timdog? Scarlet Nexus is a very successful JRPG. Tales of Arise is a very successful JRPG, and Final Fantasy 15 is a very successful JRPG. I would put like Kingdom Hearts 3 in there. A lot of the times we get not the bad JRPGs, but like the middle average tiers, the ones that people like, but they're not the defying definitions of what this genre can provide. There are no Personas. There are no Dragon Quest. There are no Final Fantasy VII remakes, the ones that are doing extremely well. But when you do see the good ones come out, they sell well. And that's where I always point out Microsoft has to do better making sure these games come to the platform, because when you do, you start seeing games like this succeed more because you're getting the ones that people like and they're willing to branch off and try other games. Someone said Idiom just dropped on Game Pass. It did. That's cool.
I'm sorry, what?
Isn't Dragon Quest on Game Pass? It is. And that, I'm not talking about the games. Dragon Quest came out like 2 years before it came out on Game Pass.
They're talking about Dragon Quest 11, right?
Yes.
Okay.
When Dragon Quest 12 hits Xbox day and date, then we can have this conversation. Those are the kind of games that we need to see come on Game Pass before we get that. Now, we're going to reel this conversation back a little bit to the point of the conversation, which was the God of War 2022 is confirmed. And it's not necessarily confirmed. We're just seeing a lot of proof saying it's coming out this year. It's good. I think God of War is going to do very good. I think it's going to push Sony into a very good 2022. The question I have for the panel, real quick, before we move to the next topic is, what does this mean for Xbox if God of War comes out? Do you think that maybe it's a good thing that Starfield did get pushed back on a standpoint that it could cannibalize it in general? Because if you look at stuff like this, like successful games coming around of other successful games have hurt games extremely well. Like if you look at Horizon Forbidden West, that game came out, Elden Ring came out. No one talked about Horizon anymore. So if God of War does come out and it's towards the end of the year, around the time that maybe Starfield would have dropped, do you think it would be better for Starfield to come out towards the beginning of next year where it's away from God of War completely? Let's start with Hustle. Hustle, how do you feel about that?
No. See, we can't roll like that because I had another example in my mind, right? You remember when Fallout 4, I think it was Fallout 4 and Rise of the Tomb Raider came out at the same time and they had that big clash? No. Xbox needed to drop something like that in order to compete. Hey, look.
I mean, I'm not referring to competing. I'm referring to Starfield's health in general, not Xbox, but the Starfield brand.
Like it would have done fine.
Releasing like a month and a half around God of War. Let's be real, that could have hurt it a little bit. I'm not saying it would have been the end all be all, but I'm saying me as someone that wants Starfield to do well, I'm kind of relieved that that's not in the 2022 gate, man. I'm not trying to have Starfield get cut in half by Kratos. Regardless of how I feel about Kratos, I am willing to say that God of War is a big brand. They're not on the platform, sure. I see people in the comment section saying that, but God of War is a huge game.
I'm aware, and it's a very big franchise. I'm aware it had its resurgence back in 2018. I'm well aware of that. It wouldn't have got in the way. It definitely wouldn't have gotten in the way of what Starfield is, because we kind of don't know what Starfield is. But if it is what we think it is, it says Fallout in space. That's not the same as what Kratos and them are doing. That's not the same as God of War. So
it's appealing to two demographics, but it is one of those scenarios where, look, this isn't the same thing, sure, but it is two big games, and I'm willing to bet, because if someone had to choose between both of them, obviously Game Pass exists, so it gives it a little bit easier for Starfield to sell. Well, not necessarily sell, but it gets easier for them to breathe. I will say that if it came between both of them, because regardless, money is a currency, but you know what else is a currency? Time. God of War isn't going to take as much time as a game like Starfield, but if people are willing to pick that up around the holiday, which is around that November time, man, Black Friday, they might choose God of War because it's a well-known IP over something new like Starfield. So to me, as a Starfield fan and want that game to do well, I'm actually happy that they delayed it out of the God of War area. Now, sure, is that going to mean that if it came out and they both competed in the same time frame, Wouldn't it mean one would do better than another one? That's debatable. We don't know exactly what Starfield is yet. We'll have to talk about that after we see the gameplay. But to me, I don't want Starfield nowhere near that God of War. I'm going to be real with you. What do you think about that, Tim?
I don't think that they really would be hurting each other. One, because they're not on the same platform. They're both exclusive. Xbox also has PC. And that's, it's not like the small PC crowd. It's like the enormous PC crowd that comes out to pay. Fallout 4, even though it was an existing IP, sold 12 million copies within the first, I think, 24 hours or 48 hours. It took I think Elden Ring 3 weeks to do that. So I was reading that today earlier. So you're dealing with a huge IP on both ends. I do believe that they wouldn't affect each other because they aren't, like I said, they're exclusive. Anybody who has an Xbox is going to get it, and anybody who has a Sony PlayStation is going to get it. They're not going to say, oh, or and if they're both owners, they're not going to say, oh, I have, God of War, I don't have to play Starfield. Totally different games. If you have an RPG itch, and you know that, and when you're playing God of War, you're not going to be happy. You know what I mean?
I agree.
So in the end, no, I don't think it hurt it. I think that it was, we'll get into it. It was from an optics point of view, it was a really big miss. From a morale point of view, it's a really big miss. And if they had their druthers, if they could have kept one and just one, and that includes Forza. If they had Starfield sitting there, you wouldn't see the type of stuff that you've seen that transpired over the week. Because it is a competitive thing here. There are, regardless of what you say or anybody says, not you per se, but just, when you talk about this, people do judge it and compare it. And the fact that Sony has a huge AAA and they're sitting home free, and Xbox been in this position many times, and Xbox fans have pushed this to ad nauseum that, hey, Sony is dry and they just got marketing deals, and they're in trouble, and Xbox has to make a move here. The shoe's on the other foot this time, and it's definitely bittersweet because I don't think anybody thought that this game was going to get delayed. I think, as I said on our TXR, I believe Phil went to the East Coast, where they're in Baltimore, I think, and he went to their headquarters and he asked what's going on with the game, and Todd looked at him, Peter Hines looked at Todd, and they both sat down and said, we got bad news. And I think that's what happened. So this news, I think, was sudden to Phil, and people could say, well, why was he more on top of this? I've said this many times, especially with a studio like Bethesda. Phil has been hands off with those type of studios because they've been doing this for a long time, and they could handle them under his logic. They could handle themselves. They don't need their handheld. And unfortunately, all bets didn't pay off, and that's where they got. We'll talk about that later, and we're going to talk about it whenever we get to it. But it's definitely a big thing. But yeah, the fact that God of War is there and Star Wars and Starfield's not is absolutely huge.
Yeah, I agree with you. And one thing, I will say, Microsoft knew they're going to get a lot of backlash for this, and I will respect them because they delayed it. It would have been easy for them to come out, the game be a little bit buggy, depending on what condition it was, and they value having games out this year over value the state of the games when they came out. And I got to respect Microsoft because they're like, no, push this. We're not going to have this come out, be buggy, whatever the reason they push this. This can come out later. We can take the flack. We can take the heat. That's fine. We value the image of that game over the image of Xbox. And that's literally what they chose. They chose the image to make sure Starfield came out the best it can be over the state of the game itself. And I respect that. So we got a $5 super chat from Dawn Otaku. Why are we still talking about Xbox not doing enough in Japan when they've invested 200 plus Japanese studios through ID at Xbox? No one's really saying that. Now, I will say that's a very good opening part because the next generation of developers that take the reins after the current people that are retiring, that's those 200 plus people. When they're done with whatever they're doing, or they move on, or they grow into bigger studios than they are now because of programs such as ID at Xbox, they're gonna have a lot better say in, Xbox is there for me when I was down. Let's say some of them go to Square Enix and they don't get bought. They're in good positions. Xbox is there for me when I was down. They helped me get that game out, and that's a very good standpoint and a good opening place for them to be. I think, and then we got another $5 super chat from Don Otaku. The only game Starfield should be afraid of is Breath of the Wild 2. Ragnarok would get bodied by Starfield like Horizon was by Elden.
I disagree.
Look, man, Don Otaku,
you
might be on to something, man. You might be on to something.
Don't listen to Addict, Don. I'm trying to save you from embarrassment. We appreciate the donations. We definitely appreciate, the donations. But God of War is a little bit different. Kratos is a little bit different from Aloy. I'm just saying. We're just going to keep it a buck.
Starfield got that sniper, man. What's that chick, Anna from Overwatch, man? She like... It's a joke, man. It's all jokes. All right, so let's go ahead and move on, man. We got this PlayStation Plus detail. So those of you know, we've been saying PlayStation Now is horrible. It's not a good service. And we saw the results of that through the actual subscription service itself. Never really got a lot of people subbing to it. It does look like, watched a couple weeks ago, they actually changed a lot of that around. They're merging PlayStation Now and PlayStation Plus. Like I said, they're actually finessing you guys and paying more for the same service that you had with PlayStation Now. But, let's get into a little bit on what the actual service is. Now, how many of you guys saw it? We're not going to go too much into the actual service itself, but how many of you guys saw the screen itself? Like the upgrades?
You mean like the Ubisoft thing?
Yes. How many of you guys saw that?
That's all right. The classics.
All right. Mm-hmm. So here is the updates in general. So it does look like they're being a lot more aggressive in terms of their own stuff, which we've said this for a minute. Like, Timdog, I remember we saying this forever. Why is it these games that are already out on PlayStation Now? Something so small that these games don't realistically make them a lot of money anymore. Why ain't they in there? Looks like they've been listening to us, man. They're adding PS5 and PS5 catalogs. Bloodborne, which I'm pretty sure Bloodborne was in the PlayStation Collection games, wasn't it?
Yes, Bloodborne was already there.
Demon Souls. So we're focused on adding we're focusing on adding high quality titles to the PlayStation Plus service for people to enjoy. I'm pleased to share a selection of content that will be available on PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium. So that's, I'm pretty sure, the $15 and the $18 tier, if I remember. I don't know. Maybe
the middle tier and the high
maybe it's
tier,
the 10 and 15. I don't know. The two tiers, that's not the basic PlayStation. PlayStation.com will be updated with the game list when it launches. So Bloodborne, Conquer Genie, Days Gone, which I'm pretty sure Days Gone and Bloodborne was already in the collection for PlayStation Plus, but it's still cool.
Yes.
Demon Souls, game that just came out, so that was the launch title. That's good.
Yep.
Destruction All-Stars, which I'm pretty sure that was in PlayStation Plus.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's Golf. I don't know if that's been there. Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut. Is that in? I don't think that's in the. That might be in the collection. I don't know.
I don't
Gravity
remember.
Rush 2, God of War. They've been very fickle with that, having that come on and on.
God of War has been there. It's been in the place. If you're on the PS5 and you have the PlayStation Plus collection, God of War was one of those ones that's been there as well.
Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Man, hey, well, I don't know if that game is underrated, but if you haven't played it and you have this service, please play Spider-Man, y'all. It's so much fun. It's so good.
So it's looked like Medieval. I know that game isn't too Returnal.
That's That was a big one. See, I didn't see this list. I saw the Ubisoft email that came out. I didn't see this. That to me is man, like yo, when you, I guess you got to strike when the iron's hot because they did their numbers or whatever the numbers that they're gonna do. I don't think they pushed 1 million per se, but having that there now is kind of saying a lot. And you know, as we all know, Sony just purchased Housemarque. I almost said Housemarque. Sony just purchased Housemarque, so that's good to see that game is gonna have longer legs or extra life, so to speak, with the new edition, with the DLC and everything that it just got with the Endless Tower and the co-op gameplay. So that's good to see.
Yeah, Shadow Colossus, The Last Guardian, both the Last of Us, the DLC and the original remake. Until Dawn by Supermassive, great game.
That was always there as well.
All the Uncharted, it looks like.
Yep. Damn. Okay, because it wasn't like that at first. Good. That's good to see.
We got third-party partners, Ashen, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. That's not too old. City Skylines. We got Dead Cells, which I think's been on Game Pass multiple times.
Attic, hold on. You skip one. Celeste. We have Celeste there. We got to pay that respect. That's a good.
Look, man,
that's right.
We got the Far Cry 3 and 4, Final Fantasy 15 Royal Edition. Like I said, Square Enix game just popping up out of nowhere. Outer Wilds. That's a good game. Resident Evil from Capcom. South Park. The Fractured Butthole. Great game, great turn-based game.
Who's that Addict? Who's that game made by?
I don't know. Stick of Truth is made by Obsidian.
Obsidian.
Well, it's okay. Pardon me.
No, it's Stick of Truth. I don't think Fractured Butthole is made by Obsidian.
Well, it's what I'm trying to say is it's published by Ubisoft, and we see a lot of Ubisoft games on that list. Do we not, sir?
I mean, half this list is Ubisoft game. These Far Cry games, Assassin's Creed, The Crew, The Division. So they did make a formal announcement that that Ubisoft Plus or whatever the hell that service is called is coming to this service. Correct?
Yeah, they did.
So we can talk about that for a couple seconds. There's been rumors going around for a while that this service is coming to Game Pass Ultimate. What I want to ask Timdog real quick. Obviously there's more here, you guys, but we don't have time to go over all of this. I will. You guys can look this up on your own time. So, with that being said, and we've seen all these Ubisoft games. First off, let's talk about the actual update itself. You got a lot of first-party stuff going in there. They're working really good with indie devs. Got the stuff like Dead Cells going in there. Some of the Dark Cloud stuff. I think that's their stuff. But with that being said, Timdog, I'm curious to hear your opinion, man. Do you think this is a solid first attempt at a rebrand to compete with Game Pass?
I don't think it's competing with Game Pass because there's multiple things that Game Pass is doing that's not. It has PC element involved. You can get your games on PC as well. Day and date, obviously, that's the biggest thing. Even though Xbox is going to be dry for a while. If Sony had day and date, absolutely would be competing and in a really strong way. I've always said that until they match it with the core values of what Game Pass is, they're really kind of two different services. What they did here, though, after when they announced it, see, Sony sometimes steps on their feet a little, and then they readjust and then they make smart moves. When they adjusted, the way they announced it with the Ubisoft and their marketing output earlier this week or whenever that was, I felt that's when they rebranded the whole thing. That's maybe where they should have went more of a way, the way they went with the way they went this week. Just showing the games, showing the benefits that the classics part of the 2 tiers is really good. It's a nice first step, but to really compete with Game Pass, I do think that they have to put day and date. Now, with the comments of the CEO, I believe right now they're not looking at that. So I know myself and others have said that it's going to happen, but it might not. And Sony is always going to be successful. So it's possible that Xbox should be successful with their model and Sony can be successful with their model. Depending on which does better, that's a whole other debate. Or when you really look at it, it's very hard to get numbers for either or, especially from Xbox. But it's a start from Sony, and I do think that they just they're not robust with the cloud. Game Pass, you have games that are instantly available on the cloud, instantly available on your phone, instantly available on the console via cloud. Say if you don't have storage space or you just want to play immediately, or if you want to get whatever are. So there's a lot of things that Xbox is much more advanced and doing differently than Sony is. But I do think Sony is finally got their foot on the ground with this, and I do think that they can definitely do well with the subscription model, because the overall models for the year, even though you can't stack them, which sucks, that's another debate. For the year are very good. So, like for me, I would probably just get the premium for the what is it? The top one is 120 or 150. I would just do that versus or I think it's 120 versus doing the monthly thing. I would just do the yearly one shot deal, and just they're going about it differently. But I think Sony's now starting to make some smart moves.
Yeah.
What about you, Hustle? How you feel?
Well, to the untrained eye, and if I didn't do a little bit more reading on that, Xbox is getting Ubisoft Plus as well. I guess it's going to go to Game Pass as well. If I didn't read that and I just saw that announcement, because the announcement yesterday was just, hey, Ubisoft Plus is coming to PlayStation. I also read, I think it's in like the first paragraph toward the end. It said, hey, it's coming to Xbox too. I think it's dope that Ubisoft games are going to be available everywhere. I do want to throw this little tidbit in. I hope that they have crossplay available, just so if you have an Xbox, like Timdog, you got an Xbox, and if you had an Xbox, y'all know I game on PlayStation and PC. Hopefully it's crossplay. So if we play a multiplayer game like Steep, it'd be cool that we all can kind of play together. I don't really know how that would work, but I hope that is a thing. Or I hope that something like that is like the catalyst to getting everybody like playing together. I hope that happens. But if you didn't know any better, I would have definitely thought like, oh wait, this is only coming to PlayStation. Like, where is this on Xbox and it's not over there? Like, but no, this doesn't really compete with Game Pass. Tim, I know you said it has to, PlayStation now has to have like day one games. No, they don't. Not yet. They don't have to have day one games yet because their games are still selling. Like point blank period. Like I wouldn't put my games in that service because God of War, we know it's going to sell. Uncharted 5, whatever that's going to be called. We know
they sell well.
Yeah,
but there is this weird thing that people are putting more on the sales than realistically are there. It's the same thing that happens on Xbox and Switch occasionally. Switch don't do it as much, but did God of War sell 20 plus million? Yes. Did Uncharted sell 20 plus million? Yes. Did Spider-Man sell 20 plus million? Yes. But
that's a lot of yeses.
But I have a feeling if you take out the bundles that is on all these consoles, you will drastically reduce all those numbers. Just like Xbox and Switch, you're really realistically probably looking at 11 to 12 million these games sold by themselves without any type of bundling. There for a while, they were selling literally all of them bundled. Like, you could buy a PlayStation 4 that had an Uncharted 4, God of War, and another game bundled together. And they consider all of those games a sell. Like, look, I'm not saying these games didn't sell well, but I'm saying there's a lot of fluffing going on there, man. When I make a burger, I want all that shit on the burger. I want the okay, I don't eat tomatoes. Let me take that back a little bit. I want the lettuce on there. I want the big beefy burgers too, man. I want that shit this big. All I'm saying is they fluffing that a little bit.
It was that deal, and you're referring to that deal that was $200, where it was God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, and I think it was Spider-Man. I know it was three big titles for $200 for OG PS4.
That was a holiday, right?
Yeah, it was that holiday deal, which was a really good deal, by the way.
But you know what
but you know what that tells me though, Addict? That even after all that time, when you have a good product like that, people are still buy your PlayStation. people will still buy that joint because the product was so good. Those games, regardless of if they fluffed, quote unquote, them numbers, that it don't matter. Like all three of them games were that good. It's like, you could sell that for $200 and watch the joint jump out the store. PlayStation was going anyway. But
See, it's like the same thing here, man. Let's say I'm selling you something. I'm selling you this card for $5, Hustle.
Okay.
And I'm selling you this PlayStation controller for $70. Now I know that people are gonna buy this card because it's hot, but I know people want this PlayStation more. So I'm gonna sell you this PlayStation for $70, or I'm a bundle it and give you no option to buying this card with this PlayStation. So I'm gonna sell you the PlayStation with this card was really the only option. You're getting them both. So look, I get it. And I'm not saying that's like bad. I'm not saying, but I am saying there's a little fluffing, man. I made you buy 5 million of these cards with no choice. How many times have you guys bought a bundle? And don't act like these bundles aren't the standard. A lot of the times when you go and buy this stuff, there's a standard bundle. I remember for a long time, God of War was a standard bundle. Is that true or false? You go into a place, a GameStop, or you go into a GameStop or Walmart, and you buy a PlayStation, and there'll be a picture of Kratos' face on that back, and it says God of War bundled with that. Every time someone bought one of those bundles, they mark it down, and they're like, "Look, man, you bought a card. You bought a card. I'm gonna put this card now. You bought." Now, some people said that the price increased. That wasn't all the time.
That wasn't all the time. I was going to mention that.
A lot of the time, the price was the exact same price. And they would give you no option to buy them individually, separately. Why would you buy if you wanted the card? Because most of the time, people wanted the card. Let's be real here. People wanted the card. But why would you not buy the card with the system for the same amount of price? So that's all I'm saying, man. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Sony did something good. They made a good game. It sold well. But all I'm saying is, I sold you a lot of cards by just selling you a console that some of you didn't even necessarily need.
Hey, adding to your point, I bought the Spider-Man. No, I don't say Miles Morales. Nope. I bought the Spider-Man 2018 game. I bought the actual console. I went to GameStop when the night that it came out, September 8th, 2018, I do believe. The night that it came out, I paid $400 for that joint, dog. I didn't decide. I pretty much got Spider-Man for free. So I see your point, man. But
and then there's a couple times where I would buy a bundle and sell the game because I already own the game, like a bunch of times.
Yeah. So I mean, so that's the thing. God of War. I bought the God of War PS4 as well. That I bought that from Micro Center. That game came for free as well too. So there are times to where like they'll eat PlayStation, whoever, right? They'll eat it, and then it's like, all right, well, we really want to move the console, so we'll give you the game. So a lot of times they'll eat it, but if they make a profit off the console, the game don't really matter much anyway at that point. I'm not gonna say it doesn't matter at all, but you understand what I'm saying. You probably get more money from the former than the latter. You understand? Well, not even probably. You get more money. Yeah.
And so that's all I'm saying with the PlayStation Plus. Like, okay, now let me give my opinion. I do think this is a good. Let me take off this thing, man. I don't like it. I don't know why. It feels like I'm in the room somewhere. I don't know. Like, look, I'm in a broke room. I'm not in an expensive house. All right. look, my bed's a little messy. It is what it is, man. All right. So look, I think this is a good competitor to Game Pass. Now, look, it's not the same. They're not getting the games day and date, but we have seen Xbox makes it work without those games day and date. This whole year has been a bunch of year without a lot of, their true studios day and date. Has anyone said Game Pass still isn't value? Sure, you're not getting your value every month with games coming out for Xbox day and date. But what you are getting is you're getting games like Tunic. And I have a feeling Sony's going to do this. You guys saw that list. If you bought the PlayStation brand for that $15 to $18 a month, you're going to get a big list of games that you could play. And I think that's where the true value of these services come into play. For people that don't own these games, the casual market, they can pick up a console, have access to all these games for a certain amount of time. And I think that's what makes it a value. Sure, when Microsoft stops launching those games in day and date of the Fables, the Avoweds, the Perfect Darts, the Outer Worlds 2s, that's when it's going to be a very big competitive thing. Sony might have to drop their games day and date if those games are doing well, they're reviewing well, and they're making that service have a huge value and proposition. And then that's a ripple effect. That means when people go out to look at game, they're no longer looking for just exclusive games. They're looking for what is going to give me more realistic value in the console that I choose. And when you could go into one and get very good games for a subscription from $10 to $15 to $20 a month, depending on if they raise Game Pass in the next couple of years, that's going to entice people to switch to the Xbox platform and play PlayStation games on the side piece when those games come out. So let me get this super chat real quick. Got a $10 super chat from Donna Talk. Animal Crossing, Breath of the Wild, all Pokemon games, Smash Brothers, and Super Mario Odyssey don't get bundled like Mario Kart does. And they still hitting 20 million plus. Every PlayStation 4 exclusive has been bundled, though. All right, Donna Talk. All right. Let's talk about this, man. How many times have I came on this podcast and I said, people buy games on Switch because they ain't nothing else to play over there on Switch? What you gonna play besides their games? There ain't nothing else on there.
I mean, they got stuff, but it don't run as well. But I mean,
really?
I think, but
really,
seriously, it don't. Well, obviously, we know it don't run as well. But
unless it's stuff like indies, third parties don't sell like that on that platform. It just doesn't, and that's just how it is. And Nintendo does what they do well. They sell their games to their audience extremely well. You got to respect Nintendo for the beastness, man. They go out there and they got companies, giant corporations coming up to them like, this ain't going to work. We need more power. And Nintendo looks at them, looks at the EAs, looks at the Microsofts, and to some point, I guess, looks at the Ubisoft and said, we don't care. That is some G stuff right there. And I got to respect them for that. We got a $10 super chat from Dirt Griggity.
What up, boy?
What's up, brothers? Shout out to the homie Timdog.
What up, Dirt?
I want to point out that something I haven't really made an announcement. Timdog says, "What's up, Dirt?" His mic's a little. In case you guys noticed, Timdog is driving home right now, I believe. So definitely, I will try.
Not driving home. I'm parked.
Oh, you're parked.
Not in the best of situations, but I try to make it home. But the LIE wasn't happening.
It's all
be
good.
safe,
Don't
man. Be safe.
Man.
Then we got a members chat from Pixelbit G. Question: many of those games were already in PS Now, so what kept it at 3.2 million and losing subs, if not the lure a day and date? PlayStation Now really didn't have a lot of value. They didn't really market it very well either. They didn't get... See, here's the difference between PlayStation and Game Pass. The day and date is by far the most single important thing. But I think we can all agree that that particular part isn't being utilized to the point it could because of so many delays because of the pandemic, because of the, I would say there's been of a transitioning from all these studios that probably took 6 months to a year to really get in the tone of how things should be. And then you got to remember that Microsoft influctuated a lot of money into these studios, hired new stuff. Some studios got new buildings. That takes time. That delayed games too. And then not to mention the indie scene. Microsoft went out there. They got the ID at Xbox program. I'm sure there was some clauses and programs. It's like, look, we like your game. We'll give you more money if you put it in Game Pass day and date. I'm sure that's going on behind closed doors. I don't know. We ain't never talked to the ID at X Pro. Anyone know that dude? Definitely add him on Twitter and tell me he needs to come on the Iron Lords podcast to discuss some ID at Xbox program. But that's besides the fact. Let's go ahead and move on to the one, the only. For those of you that said I had Dirt Griggity, I had Hustle. No, Hustle, you weren't on last week.
No.
I had Hargit Shani. I'm pronouncing his name correct.
Mm-hmm.
And I had Gaming Forte and Dirt Griggity. I'm pretty sure I said his name. We did a good prediction show. And we all said Starfield's coming out this year. Starfield's going to be at the predictions, which I don't think that's changing. Starfield's definitely going to be at the show. But a day later, it was announced that Starfield and Redfall is being delayed to 2023. What I want you guys here is, first off, where were you guys at when you first heard this information? And second off, how do you think this is going to affect Xbox in 2023? I got to go get something to drink, you guys. We'll start with Timdog. How do you feel like this is going to affect?
To be honest, I think it's going to make. I think that the worst of it might be over. They had such a reaction. A lot of fighting, a lot of sniping, a lot of stuff went on during the week that was pretty crazy. When you come back, I'm sure we'll be talking about that. But it was ugly, and I think the writing on the wall is that's Xbox. People were saying, did they have a studio problem? I think one person said it best. They have more of a 2022 problem. They really don't have a lot. They have indies and smaller games. Stalker 2 is not going to hit at the end of the year. The only bit of faith that you can get for a AAA exclusive is Forza, and that's possible that it doesn't hit this calendar year either. I think Xbox was in a really good position, and they were really starting to feel their oats. And this is pretty much a smash in the mouth moment. I think that I think there's a lot of upset people, and I felt that people acted like it's more of a cancellation. I understand people have the right to be upset, but you also have to keep a little bit of a little bit of grounded. You keep yourself a little grounded because the game wasn't canceled. Neither game was canceled. They were just delayed. And unfortunate as it was, they still are coming out, and they'll probably be better. But overall, they took a pretty big hit here. Depending on how the holiday goes, they're going to have a pretty tight holiday if God of War comes out and does what it's supposed to do, and Xbox has nothing. So it makes June 12th a little more interesting, even though it was very interesting to begin with. But they did the smart thing getting the bad news out, because if they had done this and showed Starfield and then after the show said it's delayed, I think that would have really been bad.
I think that's the reason they did it.
Yeah. So overall, it was just a lot of community members went crazy, and there's a lot of people looking twice at probably some people who have some regrets too, because that was on full display. And if you think that you weren't being read, you were being read. I think I think it hit home to Microsoft, and it was definitely a wake up call. But they always listen. But this was a tough bill for them to swallow, and like I said, it was pretty eventful week, and still kind of going. You get that thing with the Xbox ambassador and stuff like that. But just overall, it was just really a rough pill to swallow for them, and for even Xbox fans, and myself included. I hyped the thing up. I didn't think the game was getting delayed. I talked to a couple of people that were all on board, people who know stuff or who have really good connections. People were posting dates that were executives were posting dates. The news came quick. It came short, and it was brutal. And the best thing for Xbox to do is take their lumps and get these games to come out. And the only way that they can dispute any of this or show that they're doing well is if Starfield comes out and it's a 92 Metacritic, and Redfall comes out and it's an 86 Metacritic, and both are hits. You'll see a lot of different takes in what you did, but overall, it was a pretty messy week, and there's still fallout from it. So, how it's going to take, I don't know. June 12th is going to be super interesting.
Indeed. Addict, what day did this happen on? You have to tell me what day this happened on.
We had our podcast on Wednesday. It happened Thursday.
Thursday.
That means it was the 12th of this month.
I do believe I was at work, and as a matter of fact, I was actually anticipating Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, which is the newest album by Kendrick Lamar. I know that has nothing to do with nothing. That's kind of what I was focused on. So when I saw that the news of Starfield and Redfall getting delayed on the Twitter, on the timeline, I was like, oh, okay. My first thought was how bad of a shape is not even Redfall, because I don't think nobody was geeked up or nobody was tripping off of Redfall being delayed. And nobody, that's just one thing. Obviously, the big title that Microsoft was putting all the time, effort, and energy behind, was Starfield. So when I saw it, because they announced it 11/11/22, they wanted to recapture what Elder Scrolls did back in the day. Nah, for 11/11/11, and now, man, it was just a thing, and that chain of events spiraled into, and Tim, you alluded to it earlier, like it spiraled like out of control for certain figures over there at Xbox. A certain young lady in the ambassador program. There was a lot that was going on, man. I don't like y'all both follow me on Twitter. Y'all know I don't really get the trying to protect anybody who works at a $1 trillion company or $1 billion company. Like it's not in my thought process, because the game is delayed. If that game is delayed, then there's a reason why that game is delayed. Maybe things just weren't up to snuff. I heard some rumors circulating around, or some people who I kind of trust are saying that this was a cyberpunk situation. I put that in quotations because I don't think it was that bad. I saw some stuff floating around. I saw some Twitter spaces. I said, I don't think it's that bad, because they would have, if it was a cyberpunk situation, they would have gotten this out the way early in the year. Point blank, period. Hey, this ain't really up to snuff right now, so we gotta, at the top of the year, they would have got that out the way. So I think, well, first of all, I think this game is going to come out probably February, if not March of next year. A lot of people think it's going to come out the following year in 2023, so like 11/11/23.
I don't think that.
Yeah, I don't think that they're going to wait that long. I think whatever they have to, whatever they have to tidy up, I think they want to get rid of that quote Bugthesda title. I think that things may have been a little too rough, like Fallout 76 was, right? And things may have been too rough, and I don't think they want a repeat of that. So I'm like, hey, just push it up a little bit. And I think, first of all, I think we get a release date at June 12th at the E3. I say E3 at the Microsoft presentation. I mean, I say E3. I got to make sure I don't say that. Number two, man, it's Attic, are we going to talk about the other thing after you get your points across about the
what? Just say it.
No, I almost lost my train of thought about the young lady who's the next.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that here in a second.
Because I feel
there's a couple little topics I want to talk about. Nothing to take time.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so here's what I think. I do think this is a bad look in 2022. I think it makes Xbox look a very, very empty year. And look, is that bad? Yes, for 2022. They do deserve the criticism. Because it's not just like one or two things, it's a variety of different things. And I think that we need to be better as a community at vocalizing that. Timdog vocalizes it all the time. Hustle, myself, talk about the overall community. Phil Spencer, I still think, is the right person for the job. I do think that he has done enough for getting all these studios, getting so many games greenlit. He's done enough to validate waiting for the games to come out. Sure, we got to wait longer. We've waited long enough, and I get it, and it sucks. Let's at least wait till the June the 12th show, at least. like we're so close to that thing. Let's at least wait for that. It is interesting that they announced this before the event, because to me, you could have announced it later on this year and not get so much. Like, to me right now, your primary focus is to wait until the show comes out. You know what I'm saying? You're wanting to hype up the show. Having this showed up, I think, is kind of derailing the show a little bit. Timdog did mention it's going to be weird to put at the end of trailers another year. So that's probably why they did it. But to me, they did it post this, which, all right. Here's my conspiracy. I'm going to get a literally conspiracy hat to put on. I feel like their mindsets, look, we have things coming out this year. We're just going to go ahead and take the hit because we want to show another release date. So I think this June 12th, I think you're going to see a new release date. Probably January, February, March, around that time. Because to me, if I knew a game was coming out and I knew it was getting delayed, I would just hold on to that stuff to the chest. Wait till around August, September, then delay that thing. Sure, you're going to get the same hit, but at least you didn't derail your own event, if that makes sense.
I don't know. I think that listen, man. If they did that, I think it would even be worse.
But Tim, the reason I'm
like, you're talking about derailing events. You're going to be the first one. Did you see it? Did you see it? You know, all these
and I get that, Tim.
You're going to be watching it with every other Xbox fan going crazy. And you're not going to be talking about delays.
But we're not talking about that. We're talking about announcing a delay when we've seen the game and announcing a delay when we haven't seen the game. I feel like if they just show 2023 after the thing, let me get my point across, then I'd be a little bit more disappointed because I feel like the delay would hit better if they have a good showing. If they showed this game coming out, or if they just showed it during the event. The new release date 2023. I just feel like it's odd to get this kind of bad news out. Probably the highlight of your event before the event came out. I feel like personally, if they show good showing on June the 12th, the game looks good, everyone's excited. Then they hit you with the delay. People are going to be disappointed, but you just. Gameplay. You got hype. You actually know what the game's about. Feel like people would be more accepting to a delay at that point.
See, there's two sticks of this though. Your route is playing with fire, in my opinion, because the reaction that we got, and you would think that the end of the world was coming. I can only imagine what would have happened if they said that they showed us, and that then they how all the conspiracies start. They played us, and in the case of what you're saying, they would go crazy. Now, I understand what you're saying, but I just think it's a playing with fire. I actually feel that Xbox, in good faith with the fans, did what they did, and it was probably a shock to them, and maybe they could have done this better, or a way of revealing it, but maybe they could have shown some screenshots and said this and that. But I do think that they just wanted to get that out of the way so that they can focus on the show. Now, the show itself, I'm confident it's going to be very good, and I agree. It's a little bit.
I think it's going to be good,
but I do think that we'll all be very excited for it. But I just feel like your way of going about it, it's a smart way of going about it. But sure is playing.
You're saying it has more of a double-edged sword, like it could hurt you just as easily. And I agree with you.
You know how everyone's with Xbox. They'll say exactly what you said they did. They lied to us. They knew that this wasn't coming out, and they showed us the stage.
Now what happens?
And Phil, and I want Phil fired. That's the.
No, I don't think I will.
I can only imagine from what has transpired this week. I don't know what would happen, but that would really, in a way, really spark some people, and myself included. I would be like, what the hell did they do here? Because they had to have known.
Now, what happens if they showed the gameplay trailer? It looks good, but at the end of the gameplay trailer, they announce the new release date.
They getting destroyed, boy. That's worse.
I personally feel like if you show people good shit and you get people excited.
Good shit now? But okay, so you're saying, I want to take your same statement that you said, but now when they show good shit, you're still not going to be let down. You're going to be back.
I'm going to be let down, but at least I get what you're saying. Like, I'm not saying that I'm right or you're wrong. I'm definitely not going to say you're right because then it's saying I'm wrong. But, I just personally feel like if you show someone what the game looks like, finally, people understand what's going on. And then people are finally starting, okay, I see this Starfield game now. Then they hit you with the delay at the end of the trailer. They're like, damn, it got delayed. They're going to get some flack, but at least people know what they're getting. And I get what you're saying to let them down now. That way, when you see it, They already know the expectations to going into that event. But to me, the reason people are so upset is A, there's nothing to play this year, and B, we don't even know what the game is to even be to not be excited or to be excited if the game's getting delayed. I feel like there's just a lot of mixed emotions going on because there's no information on it. Like, this is one of the few games I've seen get delayed where we know still literally nothing about it.
Well,
And
that's why the egg on the face goes on to people like me, myself, who people are right when they said Timdog hyped a game that had
I hyped it too. I was right there with you, Tim.
that had no gameplay, and I read something and I said, that's pretty. I can't dispute that. I'm a fair person. I said I'll take that L. I said, yeah, that's a pretty bad L that I did do that. But you were thinking, well, okay, it's Todd Howard, Fallout. They showed it in E3. It was relatively short time. There was reasons why we did what we did. But at the end of the day, it still was not a good look that there was no gameplay showed and all this went on.
And look, keep in mind, I see the chat coming at me. Look, man, look. I'm just saying that I think I would have took it better if I saw the game. I understand I'm not everybody. I'm just giving you my opinion. You could take it, you can leave it, you can write it on a piece of paper, put it on your refrigerator, and look at it every day. I don't know what to tell you.
Hey,
what?
Addy, hold on. That's cap. That's all cap. If you watching the joint with the Lords, I'm watching it with the Lords. We're doing a live reaction, right? We are Timdog, you there too. And then after the trailer, we see 11-11-23. Come on, yeah. Come on, let's not do that, man.
If it's 11-11-23, it's not going to work. Mm-hmm. But if it's like 2-3-4-20, 2023, I don't think people are flipping. I think there's people are going to be upset. I think the internet's going to do what the internet does, but the people that care, the people that want it, aren't going to say shit. They're going to be excited to play that. Now, if it's like a 6-month delay, 7-month delay, then we're having a different conversation. But if it's only a month to 2 to 3, I don't think the internet's going to attack you as much as you think the internet's going to attack them. Sure, you're going to get the people that's going to attack normally how they attack. But I feel like if you come out there, you show good gameplay, you show what this game's about, and then you say, yo, but we needed a little bit more time, a couple months. I don't think that's going to be a huge backlash. It's going to be backlash. It's backlash with everything. But I don't think it's going to be like crazy. Let me get these super chats real quick.
All right.
Because I do have another thing I want to talk about in terms of this. So let me make sure Rubber Knob. I saw him do 2, but I want to make sure. Okay. We got a Rubber Knob with $10 super chat. We all need to stop getting angry and get about game delays. Since the pandemic, most studios are working from pushing dev time to 1 to 2 years back. All games are going to be delayed. Rubber Knob, what I've been told, 6 months to a year, every game, 6 months to a year. Very few games didn't get affected by the pandemic. And look, people want to say that the pandemic's not an excuse. It's an excuse, but do you care? That's the point. We don't really have to care about the excuse. We're the consumers. We buy the games. But as far as the dev side, that is an excuse. When you go from everything good to a lockout, straight lockout, most likely the majority of these studios, the transition wasn't pretty. Going from working at a studio to working from home. And then you got to look at the fact that some studios are very heavy on mocap. You got studios like Naughty Dog, studios like Ninja Theory. They do a lot of mocap. They couldn't do anything for during that lockout. It is an excuse, and people say, "Well, everyone else is adapting fine." Are they though?
We don't know yet. We don't know the answer to that just yet.
Returnal came out buggy. Horizon came out buggy with a delay. God of War has been delayed once, maybe twice. We don't know yet. Actually, it's been delayed. It's been delayed once.
Well,
what?
Twice? No, twice. Somebody said it was 2021.
Last of Us was delayed too.
Mm-hmm.
Every game has been delayed, and I get what you guys are saying. It's like I said, it's an excuse, but it doesn't matter. You're the consumer. You have the right to voice your opinion regardless, but it is an excuse. Then we got a $5 super chat from Rubber Knob. From Rubber Knob, all games like Horizon Forbidden West should have been delayed a little longer. Like I said, the game came out really buggy. People were really talking about that game. Like I said, this is an issue. This isn't just something Microsoft's dealing with. Sure, some studios have dealt with some better. The studio that made Ori is a complete work from home company. So obviously companies like that doesn't even really care. And I'm sure there's a lot of companies that had a lot of places in play before the pandemic where some were working from home a lot, that they were able to do it a lot faster. But this isn't one thing that fits all. Every studio got the pandemic hit them differently. I don't know if you want to comment on that, Tim, but you can if you want.
I do think that Rubber Knob, nice name, $5. Thank you very much for contributing to a great podcast. I do think that the pandemic is kind of like people don't want to hear about it, and it's very real, and it definitely affected this. I do believe if there was no COVID, that
we would see these games. I'm confident we would see these games.
Yeah, we would see these games. So here we are, and we're going crazy where people just you know what it is. Xbox kind of put themselves in this position because they did have a pandemic at the time when they announced 11/11/22. So it's on them. And believe me, I talked to Xbox and Phil and people, and basically they say they dropped the ball. I'm sorry, I'm in text now. They dropped the ball, and they feel very bad, and they say, well, they have to fix it. And the only way
we're going to get to that
games, but at the end of the day, the pandemic is very real, and COVID's very real, and crunch is very real. And I mean, I've seen some people say that these people shouldn't be paid. I mean, like the stupidity that and the knee-jerk reactions that I saw something really left a bad taste in my mouth. And I love the Xbox community, and I'm the first to say it's a great community and it's the best and this and that. You want your best when that day happened, in my opinion. I do feel people have a right to complain, but you want Phil fired. You want
it's too much.
Going on with some of the stuff. Little stuff is a little bit too much. So I don't know. I mean, I get the disappointment. I get the outrage, but I can't get the knee-jerk reactions like, well, why are we paying these people? These people, believe me, think about it, that how passionate the gamers are. Imagine being a developer, and this is what you have to deal with, and you have to push that out. You're living your life and putting your life and every ounce of energy you have into this game, and you have to delay it. It sucks for them all around too. I just hope we can get to a point where the COVID's still going to be an issue, but where it's not as big as an issue, and these games start to release on a good amount, so where we're not sitting here for a year yelling at each other.
Yeah, COVID is an issue, and I do feel like first off, I feel like the bigger your studio was, the bigger your company was, the harder COVID hits you because there's more parts to interrupt. And I think that's why you saw a lot of these smaller indie studios didn't get hit as hard. But massive studios, massive people work 500, 600, 800 plus people, they got devastated by it. I mean, normally the expansion for Destiny comes out every September. They've delayed that both years. So it's just like, look, like, I get it. People are upset. I'm upset. Maybe not nearly as much as some other people, but it's just like, as far as saying, oh, we need Phil to be fired, Phil is doing the best he can with the tools he has. Look, I get it. You guys don't have to take anything he says as hard, but Phil came into a studio. He's finally rotated the ship around. He's got all the water out, but then he hits another small iceberg known as the pandemic. And that delayed games drastically. 6 months is not a lot in game development, but 6 months to gamers is a lifetime. And look, I don't know how you guys feel, and I'll let you comment it real quick, Hustle. I personally feel until we start seeing some of these games come out, we can't truly see if Phil was the right person or not. Phil has done stuff that no other person has done in the Xbox brand. No Peter Moore, no Don Matrick, no one. Phil has convinced Microsoft to take Xbox seriously. Phil has got them to invest billions of dollars into the ecosystem. Phil has got them to open up money to greenlight games that were not greenlighted before him. Phil has done stuff that a lot of other people would have felt is a dream. Sure, there's been a lot of hiccups. Phil had a lot of democracy stuff going on when he first came in, but Phil has done stuff that no other person has done in the Xbox brand. And I feel like just all that stuff that I just mentioned is enough to at least give this man the benefit of the doubt until we see some of these games come out.
That's the kind of way I felt too, with my overall take. And I didn't want to seem like I was being a shill or defending the company. They deserve to get beat up a little bit here, but
he does. They deserve the smoke, but it's giving criticism and calling for a man's job. I feel that's different.
And the thing is the people that call him for a man's job, these are the same people that were in my DMs saying, "Hail Phil, he's taking over. He's buying Call of Division. This is so amazing. I love being an Xbox fan." So to me, it's like I don't know if it's these same people. I do think that if God of War, God forbid, was delayed, they'd be so happy they wouldn't care anymore. So to me, is it really about the game, or is it because the guy that you console war with and bullshit with has a one-up on you? And believe me, that plays into it. I hate to say it. The first thing the console warriors were doing, and I'm sometimes involved with it, and I try to joke
we don't nearly do it as much as we used to, Tim.
No,
you know that
we're definitely the whole new crew doing it, but those people were like the happiest. Like the Sony guys were, so happy, and they were making some of the stuff. And I'll admit, some of the stuff that they put out was very funny and like had me laughing. Like they got the Xbox guy, and it's like sometimes I hate to say, is that more? Are you really upset about the game, or is it because you're being made fun of because you were saying 97 Metacritic, Starfield,
and
you can't have it?
That's what I was saying when I was on ILP. I feel bad for the people that generally was excited for Starfield. I wanted to play, but I can't say I was 100%. I need it now. I'm more like that with Fable. You can ask Timdog. Me and Timdog been having this on and off thing about Fable for like a decade, it feels like. But as far as the people, I love Starfield. I love Bethesda games. But I can honestly say that when it comes to Starfield, I'm okay with the wait. Fable a little bit different, but Starfield, I want to play it and I see it. But I'm okay. I'm not getting up. I'm sitting on my couch, man. I'm waiting for that to come to me. So let me get these super chats real quick. $5 super chat from from Mr. 2 Impeniated. My opinion, I'm ready to want for Starfield even till 11/11/23. If it hits, but fill your lineup while we wait. One game a quarter. We'll get to that here in a second. And then we got a $5 super chat from Dead Planet. I love the game Lost Planet, man. I would love if you change your name to Lost Planet. Series X was introduced with Hellblade 2. We've seen it twice since 2019, 3 years ago. Not to sound arrogant, but the game better be very damn close. We won't go into too much into that because there's not a lot of information on that. We have seen it and we've seen gameplay, so hopefully we'll see more visual gameplay and it'll come out soon. $5 super chat from Dead Planet. Timdog, Sony has timed exclusivity on the SH2 remake. What is that? Silent Hill 2 remake. Thanks, Blooper. But apparently 2 other Silent Hill 2 projects in the works. Any coming to Xbox? Have you heard anything about Silent Hills coming to Xbox?
Haven't heard much, and I wouldn't put too much stock into anything right now with that. I know they had the screenshots, but just wait and see what it is.
All right. So, let's move on to the last little bit of this topic. Just make this quick. I'm going to go to each person on the panel. Tell me 2 ways you think they can make up for Starfield and Redfall being delayed. We'll start with Timdog.
Get 2 games from. I don't know what you can, but get 2 games from Game Pass and announce it at day one. Put some money up and get some money.
I think that's pretty much logistically overall. What do you think, Hustle?
I mean, I wasn't even gonna go that route. I was gonna say in regards of the show, you announced a release date for Perfect Dark because that's what I'm looking forward to. First of all, I said you announced that, and you show, and I know you like Avowed, so show some Avowed gameplay too. Like I kind of want to see more of that. And since we know that Starfield and Redfall are being pushed out, you could show stuff from that, but show other things down the pipeline. I would say that since we know that this one thing is getting delayed, I would say show a lot of your other titles that pull us. God forbid, pull a Sony. You know how they show the games 4 years out. Man, what the hell? Pull a Sony. I think you got to do something because that was Starfield was your heavy hitter. I say was Xbox fans was the ones that they were waiting on. So yeah.
Yeah, my sense about in the middle. But before we get on with that, man, there's 302 people in this chat. Hit that like button if you guys don't mind. I wanted to try to get that above 200 before the end of the show. I probably know that's not going to realistically happen, but I love being unrealistic. My shit's in the clouds, man. So
there you go.
we're gonna. I think it's in the middle. I think the biggest thing they need to do is try to secure that Call of Duty coming to Game Pass day and date. If they're able to achieve that, it's going to be interesting. I think that you do that, maybe one more big title game. And I think if they can't get those Game Pass games because it's too far, I know that there's a lot of, contract, a lot of legal stuff going on. If they're not able to get anything Game Pass, you want to make sure that you show these games, Avowed, if you can, Hellblade, Starfield, Redfall. You want to make sure that these games look the best that they possibly can. Because I'm confident if Forza, Jason Max said it as well. Let me put up his thing. I personally feel like if you're able to show these games in a very, very positive way, where honestly think people reason the Starfield thing hit a lot of people is because we don't know what a lot of these games are. We've not seen gameplay in a lot of these games. But if you show Hellblade, combat looks great. You show a very good look of Starfield, looks great. Show Forza, why it was delayed, new engine, looks great. You show Redfall, amazing co-op experience, looks great. You show Avowed, awesome RPG, good release date, looks great. I think people would lay off the delays because you're showing, look, we've had a lot of delays, but we're showing you these games. Some of them have release dates, maybe Hellblade and Avowed. I don't know. Redfall definitely, Starfield definitely. Maybe more of these have release dates than other. But actually, if you show people what these games look like, how they're going to feel, and what they look like day one, let's not do none of this Ubisoft stuff where it's like you have an illusion little thing where, I was making my house look like an expensive house. None of that. Show us what we're going to play, make it look good. And Timdog, don't you think people would, I think that would get people off people's back. I really do.
Well, I agree with what you and Hustle had said about this. And yeah, that would be the best answer. But realistically, how can it be done? Supposedly it takes a team, the whole entire studio, 3 weeks off of the dev timetable. So if you're going to make a demo, it's three weeks to a month to completely dedicate yourself to a demo and trailer. That includes gameplay. So if that had happened, they probably are beyond that date where they couldn't coordinate it. Unfortunately, I think they're caught between a rock and a hard place. That yes, they could do something like that, or if they had more time, they probably could have planned this a little bit better. But I do think that they're kind of caught in a rock and a hard place. You're not going to get that gameplay that they need from an Avowed, and you're not going to get that stuff. You might get it from another show down the line, but just not now. And as far as the timed exclusivity stuff or the timed Game Pass day one on Game Pass, that's very unlikely too. COD, COD and Forza 8. I don't think they're going to touch COD because they don't want to mess around with the regulations, and they're scared shitless of that. They don't want to, say, oh, you're already starting in, you're tinkering, you're dabbling with the already making changes. They're supposed to be hands off 100%. So I think you throw that out the window. As I kind of feel, I think 2022 is going to be a tough year. It's going to be a tough year, but it's going to be followed by maybe one of their best years ever, if not best.
And it's like I said, look, at the end of the day, even if the year's a complete flop, none of these games come out the year they're supposed to. They all get pushed back to 2023. We have absolutely nothing coming in 2022. It's going to be a bad year. But as long as these games that follow up in 2023 are good, people will forget. People got short minds. I'm not like accepting the way they did. I think they should have 2022 games. I honestly feel like if they're not going to give us their own stuff, they need to open up that checkbook and get some of these games in Game Pass day and date. All right, let's go to these little topics I want to talk about real quick. All right, first thing, did you guys see that post that was on Twitter that showed all of the stuff that PlayStation's marketing, but Call of Duty wasn't on it?
No.
Yeah, apparently it was at some kind of press
I
conference.
I saw that.
And Call of Duty was not on it. That's interesting. Now, maybe it's because that's a given, but there was stuff like Final Fantasy on there. So I don't even know if it's that. You guys think there's a possibility if this deal goes through that there's some kind of deal in place where Microsoft takes over the marketing? Because it's weird that Sony is marketing that game, and that's probably their biggest marketing game, and it's not on that list, and everything on there, they're marketing.
I always thought they had to honor whatever contract was in place, but if that deal does go through, then I mean, if I'm PlayStation, I'd be like, nah, y'all can take that and go somewhere.
Maybe they're still marketing it, but they didn't put it on that list because it's not a viable thing in the future. So maybe they know after this is over.
That's bingo. There you go. They probably said, you know what, it's going away next year. Let's like kind of hold the horses. I don't think you're going to see Microsoft with a call card exclusivity marketing deal. Again, there's a regulation deal. There's this whole thing going on. Xbox is shaking in their boots. You know, a real thing is if they got this thing denied, it would really hurt them, set them back a lot. So lots riding on that. So I don't think there's going to be any kind of Call of Duty. I think what you just alluded to is the answer. Maybe this is the end of their run, and they don't want to shine a spotlight on Call of Duty because they know they're losing it.
All right, so I don't know if you want to comment on this, Tim. There was an individual, an Xbox ambassador, that posted some criticism on people criticizing Phil Spencer. I think the tweet was a little bit distasteful. Like, I don't agree with the tweet, but it does look like people went to the streets like they normally do. They brought up the fact that she don't play certain games that she says she play, that she hypes up. Now, you know, I want to focus on individual, not necessarily her, but should people that are that much, like, you know, people that's that much in Twitter streets that represent a brand that Microsoft physically works with, should they play games to that degree? Because even Timdog's been a very big Xbox fan for a while. And if there's anything that you could say about Timdog, you know, people might say, you know, Timdog shells for the company, this, that, and the other. But one thing you can never say about Timdog is he doesn't play games. And that's what I kind of want to talk about. Like, do you think that a brand ambassador or anyone that truly represents the game, you know, they're constantly working with studios, Microsoft acknowledges them as a partner, do you think that they should be playing games to that degree? But let me get this super chat real quick. We got a 2 super chat from RRD. I don't want release dates. They're not trustworthy. Completely understand. So go, Timdog.
Well, on this particular case was a little weighted. I know the individual for a long time. I can say that she's a super nice person. And you know, the things that transpired, I really don't feel that I don't think it's 100% fair, because she definitely contributes in a lot of other ways, like streams, community events, stuff like that. I've known her for a while, and she never, to me, she never partaked in the console wars. She never.
I agree. I have her. I follow her, and I don't know if she follows me. I've never seen her once partake in the
Never once. And listen, if she was like that, I kind of say, yeah, it's open season on somebody like that. But being that she's really kind of disengaged herself from that and really never played up to it, I just think it's unfair. And unfortunately, you know, it was King Thrash who was the person. Let me go in this place. So I'm a little quiet. King Thrash was the person that uncovered it, and he's a Sony guy, and he wanted to make fun of the ambassador program and say, look, they don't have worthy people. And then Kid Smooth was pissed, which I get. I think that the ambassador program has always been, who type thing. But I do feel that they do put their best foot forward and try to, have good ambassadors. I do feel like they try to do the right thing. Is there a lot of politics involved? 100%. I would never be able to be an ambassador. They would say I'm too toxic.
Really?
I fight too much. I'm this and that. And I'm okay with that. You know what I mean?
You got to move a certain way, Hustle, to get, like, there's a difference between being in, like, the center, and there's a difference being professionally in the center. And it is what it is. Like, let me give my thing a little bit. Look, I'm gonna tell you guys the same way I did the review. The only thing I disagree with this individual is she said that you have to run a company to be able to criticize it. I don't agree with that.
Yeah, that's not fair.
As far as people bringing up her gamer score, I get it. I think a lot of this has to do with Tim. And I don't know if you agree with this, but I think a lot of these have to do is you got people that have been grinding in the streets, regardless if they're doing the console war or not doing the console war. They're putting a lot of effort into this industry. They put a lot of effort into their channels, into their Twitch streams, into their Twitter following. They do everything they can. They play the games, they review the games, and a lot of them don't get the opportunities that opportunities like this individual would get. I think that's where the core of this stands. Is you got a lot of content creators and a lot of people in general annoyed that people like that get the type of I wouldn't say pat on the back, but they get those opportunities that a lot of people have really put time into and don't get it. And I think that's where it's really coming from.
Yeah. Let me say, I agree with you. I'm not going to say that. I do think this stuff has uncovered a lot of stuff like that, and some of that stuff isn't fair. And I 100% agree with you. Do I think Kid Smooth should be an ambassador? Absolutely. I think that you can look past somebody who's had an outburst on Twitter or anything that was real.
Just one though, Kid Smooth, just one.
But Kid Smooth is somebody who's helped people in the community.
Yeah, he deserves it.
When something happened, he's the first guy there. So for me, and he's a big time gamer, he knows his stuff. So I kind of get why he would be perturbed, why he doesn't get it. But let's be honest, we also know that Microsoft is a corporation first and foremost, and that they are going to look for that. They don't want any kind of loose ends. They don't want to have a guy where, they had KSI. You know who KSI is, right? You guys know who he is?
That's the big YouTuber?
Yeah.
He was originally with Xbox. And he was like one of their people that they were really high up on. And what happened was he made some comments about women, or he had a viral video of his that he was, people would say, objectifying women. I don't know. It was bullshit. And they dropped him. And that's the thing. In corporate America, and anything that you come close to, you're done. And the one thing I will say for the Xbox ambassador who has had the light shine on her, she's been nothing but a model citizen. So I have to give her that much.
And it's hard. It's hard not to get yourself caught up in something.
As we don't. But to me, we need more gamers that are women in general. We have to be more open to women in general on a console and video games. I mean, I know how it is. It's sometimes tough for a woman to come into a chat room with a bunch of guys.
Especially how toxic a lot of people are. Sometimes I'll be in a party with some of these dudes. They be acting like they've never heard a woman speak. They've never seen a woman. I'm like, dude, go knock on the door next door. There's probably a woman in there somewhere. Like, calm the hell down.
When we have a woman in the chat room, let's be honest, this is real talk right now. When there's a woman in the chat room, you got 6 guys, you always have that one guy that's saying something inappropriate or trying to placate himself to the girl. And that is unwelcoming to a person. So for me, it's like a double hit for her I don't feel like I hope that she doesn't take this. What I'm worried is that she's going to take this experience and give up and say,
I don't think she'll give
I
up.
don't want. I want her to just brush it off. I haven't reached out to her because I know that she's probably had reached out and people reach out to her. But I just think that in this case, she was an unfortunate bullseye for people that are looking not to just to discredit Xbox and other things. And she came up. Did she make comments that maybe led the wolves to her? Maybe, but at the end of the day, I don't think that she should. I think she should very worthy of being a ambassador. It doesn't always mean you have to play video games. I mean, if you look at it and be realistic, some of the guys that we love on Xbox don't play that much Xbox. Jim Ryan, you think he really plays much PlayStation? You think that these guys, Helms, are coming home like us and playing games till 3 a.m. in chats? No, they're going to sleep with their family. So the bottom line is that you can't, in my opinion, judge a person by what games they play or the duration that they play. If they're playing and they're making a good effort, that's all that needs to be said, and they have to be knowledgeable. And I think, in the most part, we have people that are super knowledgeable here, and we don't have stupid people that are completely clueless. It's one thing to be knowledgeable, and it's another thing to be completely clueless that you can't help somebody. I think in this case, she's very knowledgeable that if somebody came to a problem with her, she would understand how to get it rectified and fixed.
Yeah, and it's like I've said, like, I understand people are upset. I've never really got into that like fraud stuff. Like, I don't really care, but I understand. It's like I said, people are tired of people representing a gaming community that don't play games, and I get that. But she does a lot of positive in the community that you don't see. The diversity. She tries to bring more women to the community. And it's just like, look, at the end of the day, should she promote games that she doesn't play? No, but some of you promote stuff that you don't do either. And the only thing it's like I said, only thing I don't agree with her is how she said you have to run the company to do it. People were saying, I don't know, I didn't see it myself, that people are attacking her for being a woman, people attacking her personally. None of that's cool.
Yeah, I didn't
none
see
of that's
that
cool.
Well, you'll always get the random asshole who will be like, her kids do something stupid, you know what I mean? You're always going to get the random, and that could be anybody. Like it could be a stalk Xbox guy listen, there's people in the ambassador program right now that hate her, okay? It's just not like Xbox. Like, there's a real big debate going on about this because I know the ambassadors. Those people are very tough on people. I remember Doc, who I felt at the time was worthy of it, or he was to be considered. They didn't allow him in. It's very hard to get into it, and it is kind of a big deal. But that community is not an easy community. So I'm sure she's getting it from both sides, is what I'm saying. She's getting it from the fanboys. She's getting it from just like people like us who are just considering what she's saying. I'm not me, but like just people who would question her. And then she's also getting it from the back end, from the people who her peers are. And that's very real. And again, I just don't want it to be a point where she busts. She's been holding strong, so I'm happy about it. But it's gotten ugly. I'm not gonna deny it. It's been pretty rough, and people weren't nice to her. And some of the stuff, like I said, she might have opened herself up to. But I just think that we also, should consider some of the good stuff she does too.
It's like I said, I'm never gonna condone. I'm never gonna agree with any type of like dogpiling, any type of harassment, none of that, because I do feel like people need some form of a safe space on the internet. But at the same time, the moment you sign up to be a public figure, you're going to get subjugated to this. I hate it but I've had this happen to me multiple times, and I'm sure you had it too, Tim, where it's just like she's grateful not to have had this happen to her up till now. But it's just like, we all need to improve. The people that attacked her, the people that could have maybe criticized her a little bit more respectfully. I'm not going to tell you how to criticize people. I feel like you might have been able to. There's ways to criticize people without sounding like a dick. And then she can improve the way she presents information. maybe not to cap for games she's not playing, because I do understand where people are coming from. But at the same time, she's never really come out there acting like a hardcore gamer either. Like I've never seen her post on there. I just put 80 hours into Forza. Like,
well, she's never also partaked in the console war too, and she was dragged into this. I guess because she said something and somebody, I mean, Thrash. I like Thrash. Me and him are cool, but he's definitely he has a bone to pick with Xbox, and he's checking people's gamer score. I don't know. To me, that's a little bit much. I think the ambassadors can control themselves, or they can monitor themselves. They don't need somebody who could care less about the brand and wants the brand to fail to get this girl and put her out there and just like you say, have everyone dogpile on her. I don't know. For me, I just get defensive of that because I know how a lot of times just women in general are with the video game community are treated differently, or guys act differently, or they say something. That's just the truth of the matter, and we should, as a whole, want to just be more respectful and welcoming to everyone. The core hardcore gamer guy, whatever you want to say, that guy's a pretty tough asshole. You know what I mean? If you know what I mean, like, they're not easy to deal with. They're gonna have hard takes, and they're gonna be passionate, and they're gonna be the guys that are going crazy on Twitter, yelling at Microsoft. So it's not an easy place to be if you're somebody who's just not that way.
It's like I've always said, Tim. When if you see someone that says something on Twitter you don't agree with, that's why you don't really. I commented on that time because like I said, I didn't agree with the statement. But you don't see me commenting when a reviewer doesn't beat a game or a reviewer plays 10 minutes of a game. You know what I do, Hustle? I never see that person's review ever again. If you don't like this individual, you don't like a reviewer, you don't like someone in the industry that's giving you a product that you don't like and you think they're being ingenuous, just unfollow them. Don't give them any more power. Don't like their post, because all you're doing is putting spotlight on them and giving them what they need to succeed even more. But, go ahead and Hustle. Go ahead and give your opinion on this, because I know Tim's got to go.
Yeah, Tim, I'll make it quick. That's your homegirl, and that's cool and everything. It's more about something like this. I'm an Xbox ambassador, but the requirements to get that is super low. Like, just be cool.
No, she is a real Xbox ambassador.
Okay, I thought you meant it was one, you saw what everybody else was doing. That thing
that you see on the YouTube where you have to have 1,500 thing. That's just something that they do on that. Like, she's the elite of them. Am I right, Tim?
Yeah, no, this Xbox ambassador is real. Like, gotcha. They're backed by a certain group, and when you're it's a pretty illustrious group, and it's hard to get into. Smooth's been trying to get into it for years.
All right. Well, let me say this. Tim, since them your people, tell her check her DM. You tell her run with me. We can play some Gears 5. Me, her, and the troubleshooters. We have a good time. I don't agree with the harassment. All right. That's it's unacceptable. Like, nobody should be treating, whether she's a chick or not.
They call it Xbox MVP. That's what they call it.
Okay. All right. Nobody should be harassed based off of this. However, you can't make a comment like that. Like, you got to be careful.
Agreed.
You're right, because I'm getting to the point where I'm doing this and that, a lot of people starting to, oh, who's this Hustle guy? Oh, let's go ahead and check him out. Hey, look, I might be 5 to 7 games a year, but I don't got no problem putting that out there, right? There's nothing for me to hide. My trophies ain't hidden. Ain't none of that other stuff is hidden. Everybody know what it is with me. Everybody know how I get down. Everybody know what's authentic with me. That's the difference. Like, a lot of people have that stuff, but I do want to say no. I disagree with this young lady. I'm not gonna slander. I didn't slander her even when she posted all that.
I'll just say,
because that's corny. That's mad corny to me anyway. Because a lot of people who was doing that wouldn't set it to her no way. Wouldn't set it to her face no way. But that's extremely childish. Like, that's I'm gonna watch my mouth. That's sucker-ish to me. But whatever. If you don't play the game, look, just play the game. Like, I felt like she was almost bullied into doing something that she kind of signed up for. Because
100% right there, you said it.
Yeah, but just it's cool. Like, even if because sometimes I can only get maybe 3 hours a game and then a week, but it just be like that sometimes. We grown. Like, everybody's grown. If you got a full-time job, bro, I'll be surprised I'm doing this. Cause I'll wake up so early. Eddie, you know this. I wake up so early in the morning. It's like, yo, I don't be having like the energy to really like do all this, right?
A lot of these people, they live for this stuff, man. They live for this stuff.
I know what you're saying.
But I do want to say this though, to the people over at Xbox who are doubling down and tripling down on defending this young lady, yo, that's cap, dog. And they know who I'm talking about, man. That's cap, blood. You can't do that. You can't accept that behavior. I understand that this young lady does everything different. I know she different positive things for the community. Look, that's cool. Matter of fact, that's great, and we need more people like that around. But yo, like, listen, you know, I only play a handful of Xbox games, and that's like Halo and Gears. Like when Perfect Dark and all them other joints roll out, yeah, I'm running them too. But yo, play them at the very least. Like, get you like, you know, maybe 50 hours in each. Like it's not hard, bro. Bro, I felt backwards into getting like 50 hours in the Halo Infinite with Erica and them. Eric, you be seeing me playing and struggling and whatnot. It's only like, yo, just a couple hours, dog. Like just play the game for a little bit. And look, I know whatever her job is probably demanding, but yo, I play the games to unwind. I got Gallagher back behind me. After we leave here, I'm gonna let the dogs in. I'm finna play Gallagher for a little bit before I watch wrestling. Like it's just one of them things. Like it's just something that you should do to unwind. But I mean, I don't know. And look, I didn't see her being harassed in that thread. I'm sure she's not lying about it because somebody can just go through that thread and
people need to realize too, just because you didn't see it in the thread doesn't mean people are DMing her some off the wall stuff.
Yeah. And that's probably what made her. I agree with what you're saying. You have to hold your words a little better than maybe she said some stupid things. But when you're, let me say this: when you are under attack, like she was, you're gonna try to make a point for yourself, and I think that's maybe why she ran into some trouble. I think Hustle, you have great advice, and maybe if she watches, that's great advice to listen to. I do think though that if the and I like, because I know some of the community of the MVP, they got to outline what requirements, and yeah, you probably should have a certain amount of gaming hours, and you shouldn't really talk about stuff. Maybe they make them requirements, but I don't know her whole story, but it's just been an unfortunate one because, like I said, what gets me is that it probably would have never happened if you didn't have such theatrics going on. I just kind of feel like she caught up in it, and I kind of feel bad, and I admit it. Maybe I'm too guilty of that because she was never involved with the console war, so this is all new to her. Like, and she's probably
overwhelmed.
Yeah,
she's probably overwhelmed, and but like I think you gave great advice, and maybe she can do stuff like that, or don't talk about it, just do it, and just move on, and things will work itself out.
And I do want to say this, one more time, like to the people who are defending her. I mean, of course, you defend her against the harassment, but hey, look, y'all, it starts. And I got a PlayStation, but I don't know my Xbox controller. But it starts with this: just pick the controller up, B. Just get it in as much as you can, but just start with that, and then Phil Spencer, from what, and Tim, maybe you can speak to this better than me, and I ain't gonna try to hold you up too long, but he gives off he's the type of dude like he's held himself accountable on multiple occasions,
all the time.
Yeah, so like he don't need that defending for real. Like I understand, like I get it, because hey, look, I defend my people all the time. I defend my folks all the time. You know that, but you don't need it. The troubleshooters don't need it. Like these other people, they don't need it. But I mean, I respect the loyalty and I respect the fact that she did that. But sometimes you gotta sit some conversations out. It's okay. It's okay to sit the conversations out.
I said that.
That's the wrong way I say. Sometimes you have to sit some conversations out, and I think that applies here. But again, like I said, maybe she was just not in the right state of mind. But overall, it's been an eventful week. And I have to say the podcast, I'm very surprised. Was awesome. I'm not surprised that it's awesome. Just surprised that we had such a huge out, like over 300 people showing up.
Yeah.
Really good numbers. Guys, thanks for having me on. I got to get going. It's
All
been
right,
a
Tim.
You're fine,
pleasure.
Tim. I appreciate you
And,
coming on. Tell the people where to find you at, man. I'm sure they know
you
you,
know where to
but
find me on Twitter. I'm on. Maybe I'll do a podcast when I can get on a camera and proper stuff. Right now, I'm sorry I had to do this on the phone, but
oh no,
as
you're
we
fine.
talked
You
about,
sounded
we're all
fine,
working
actually.
men here, and my traffic on the LIE just wasn't permitting it, so I detoured to my mom's house.
All right, man. Just be careful getting home, man.
Oh, love. Y'all make sure y'all follow Timdog here. Thank you, Tim. We appreciate
Thank
you.
you, man.
All right, so let me go ahead and get these super chats real quick, and then we're gonna head out here.
Mm-hmm.
No. Got a $5 super chat from 108 Dragon TV. What's going
Hello,
on,
sir.
108? We might have to get you on next week, man. We might have to get you on next week. All the toxic people get all the attention. Let's be honest. The BS sells. Peeps doing the right thing don't get the attention. We deserve all facts. So like I said, man, I don't think she would. I don't know if you was saying she's a toxic person. I don't think you was.
No.
But it's just like, look, like when it comes to her, it's like the biggest thing I have 108 when it comes to her. It's like there's one thing from using your platform and choosing not to speak. And it's another thing to use your platform and tell people to shut up. That's the biggest thing I have. And I know you weren't talking about her 108 Dragon. That doesn't sound like you. I was just clearing up so people in the chat knew you weren't talking about her. Because you know how it is, man. People will read super chat and they on Twitter. 108 Dragon was saying she was toxic. That didn't happen. The super chat clearly didn't say that. Then we got a $5 super chat from from 108 Dragon. Let's be real. Some dudes go too far. They're weirdos. You can give constructive criticism without disrespect. That's exactly what I was saying. And that's why I bring up, like, when you move in these like sponsorship streets, like, you could be you. You just have to be it respectively. You can't come out there and call people off the wall stuff because people ain't gonna mess with you. You guys remember, I used to have a clipboard of saying some off the wall shit to people in my comment section that would come at me. I no longer have that clipboard because being around ILP, Cognito, King, Solve, they show me like, look, you can say what you want. You just got to be respectful. And after a certain amount of time, you pick it up. Then we got a $5 super chat from Facio 007. Is it?
I think that's Fizu.
Fizo 007. It's part of her job description to play games and to finish certain games is part of her job description to play certain games. If I have different obligations to promote the brand, it might be hard. I don't know if she's obligated to play games because they're not really clear on what it takes to be part of the brand association like that. Maybe that's something else because, like, regardless, you could debate if this chick should be where she is. You could debate that. But I will say one thing. There's plenty of, especially women, that do play these games and not toxic that could use that position. And I'm not saying she doesn't deserve it, but I am saying it's weird to be like in a brand and stuff like that on stuff you don't play. That's the only thing that doesn't make sense to me. Now, obviously, she could be doing stuff in the background that validates that position, but we don't know that. She does a lot of stuff with diversity, bringing women more to the forefront when it comes to these type of conversations in the gaming community itself. Maybe that's what's more important to her than anything else. Like, because if you look at her Twitter, she don't really. Sure, she might post a tweet about a game, but I don't really ever see her out there acting like she plays these games like that. And I think if she was, it'd be a different story. And I can understand people saying, like I said, there's probably more people that are more self-suited for that kind of position, but they don't have it because, individuals like her that don't really play these games get it. But at the end of the day, it's like Jimmy B Gaming from Weapon Well. I was watching his stream last night.
Uncle Jimmy, my boy.
And he said, if you guys have an issue with people like her getting that spot, grind yourself and take its spot with yourself.
Yeah.
That's the only real thing I can tell you. If you got an issue with her getting, because I don't really care if she gets, to be honest with you guys. I don't. Nothing she does is going to make me sleep less. We're in completely different spaces, and I am definitely not in the ambassador program. But
wait, do I have time to push back on that just a little bit?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I think the biggest issue of something like that with what her actions like exhibited, I wish Tim was still here so I can tell him too. It's like a lot of times people got influence, right? You got to imagine some way, somehow, she got more influence than Hustle, right? So if something's being done like this is the person who has more influence than me. This is the person who may have more influence over, like, I love Gears 5, right? This is the person who has more influence over Gears 5 and don't even play it. Like, you understand what I'm saying? So like this, there's a certain like line with that, and I don't agree with certain tactics, getting her game score and all that. I get it, but I don't, I feel like there's another way we could have just kind of like moved around that though.
I think it's like I said, the core of the issue is people have been grinding and are upset. People that don't put the effort to learn these games are not in the forefront when it comes to these kind of conversation. I think that's the core issue. People like Erica for the win. She plays these games. She does all of this stuff, but she never gets opportunities like that. And I think that's the core. And I'm not saying Erica was out there on Twitter. I don't think she really cared. But
she did a video on it, but
she did a video. But you get what I'm saying. She wasn't doing anything that you saw on Twitter. All I'm saying is we can be respectful. You can criticize respectfully. If you don't like that she has that opportunity and she doesn't play the games, go out there and do it yourself. Because I'm 100% with Jimmy. It's first off, it's not easy to get in that door. She was probably in the right time at the right the moment to the right time. Yep. And two, once you're in that position, you'll be surprised how hard it is to keep it.
That's not really the surprising thing. I think the easy part is getting it, and it could have been a timing thing. It could have just been like, hey, I've been working.
The right person.
Yeah, it very well could have been a thing. That's how I got my job. That's how I got my current job or whatever. Like, I literally knew somebody who knew somebody, and now I'm getting paid when I'm getting paid or whatever. But I know it's one of them things. But like, we just talking about influence, and I saw, a few people who I respect, defend her a little bit. And I don't know if you saw like the whole checkmark Twitter thing. Did you see that at all? I saw it, and I was like,
the thing is, when it comes to people that defend, look, I get it, but that's just how they roll on Twitter. Like, you got to keep in mind, some of these people on Twitter, they get heat 24/7.
I see, and
they are on that standpoint, and I don't agree. I don't. I feel like she should be criticized for her statements.
Yeah.
Now, I personally don't feel like she's ever been vocally attacked like that on Twitter. And I hate to use the word attack, but it's probably what it was is an army of people coming at you. Let's be real, it was an attack.
Yeah, it's dogpile. Yeah, Twitter. Yeah, people know
she's just not used to that. It's like I said, me? That happened to me last week. Like it happens to me a couple of times a year. I'm pretty used to it. Hopefully from now on she'll choose her words better, because I don't think she should lead the program. She does enough in that. She at the end of the day, she validates where she's at off the community that she has established, and that's all that matters. It's like I said, you guys disagree, go out there, try to get on to that ambassador team by yourself. It's not going to be easy.
I mean, and I'll just say this, and that's why the quote, like, from Hustle, like, that's why the kid gloves were on, because I took a look as to what she does, and there are a lot of other things, but again, my issue ain't even with her. All right, she said what she said. She shouldn't have said it. It is what it is.
Your issue is people defending her.
My issue, my issue was like people doubling and tripling down on that. Like, yo, no. The first thing,
we should be very vocal about.
Yeah, look,
it's one thing to say to defend her. It's another thing to tell people they're overreacting.
Yeah,
it's like, look, like, is BG extra on Twitter? Yes. But BG was not wrong for most of the stuff he was saying. I didn't see everything he said. Don't give me a tweet or him threatening people, because I didn't see that. All I'm saying is, no, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I'm just saying.
BG just came out there. Sure, he could have worded it a little bit different, but this is BG we're talking about. He said, yo, how is she a brand ambassador and have the eye in the spotlight of Microsoft and she don't even play their games? That's all he said. And people was at him over it.
And that's the thing, like he not wrong. Because when I saw the thing about the controllers, I was like, yo, my thought was, yo, please stop. Like, you don't gotta. It's just certain things. It's just certain, like, I understand, like, maybe she was backed into a corner, she panicked or whatever. But, like, at the same time, no, you really wouldn't be in this position. Like, Halo out. Yo, they need as many people as they can get on that joint. We keeping it real. And then that's not no shot at Halo Infinite. Because I like Halo Infinite. I streamed the joint last week or whatever. It's cool, yeah.
You're not wrong for supporting her. If you like the content she gets out, support her. Follow her on Twitter if you're not already followed her. And support the movement she goes. Yeah, I'm not saying that she doesn't justify being in the position she's at. All I'm saying is, A, she was rightfully criticized for the statement she made on Twitter, and B, she probably should choose those words differently. And C, which probably should have said made C, at the end of the day, she is on Twitter promoting a brand she doesn't play. And look, it's like I said, if you feel like that's wrong, which I don't care, I don't. But if you feel like that's wrong, go do it yourself. And, be that person. Regardless how it goes, regardless if you get it, if you don't get it, she's there because of the people she most likely met and the statements that she holds. And that's all that goes to that. But, we're going to go ahead and wrap on that. I feel like we can talk about that forever. I'm tired. I still got to review a game.
That's right. I forgot.
Is there any last thing that you want to talk about? Last thing in that?
Nah. I got my thoughts off. I'm gonna expound on those thoughts Saturday. So
so definitely where Saturday? Your stream?
I do a Saturday stream. I don't know the name of it yet, but I do Saturday streams.
I might join in on you with that.
All right, cool. I'll make sure you're there.
But all right, so that's all I'm saying, man. Like I said, when it comes to the individual, support if you want, don't support if you want. It doesn't matter what you do, man. All I'm saying is do it respectfully, man. Do it respectfully. But We're going to go ahead and shut this down. Probably going to have 108 Dragon on next week. He said he was good. We have a good little time. 108. The cussing, man. You do a good job on the IOP, so I don't think I have too much to worry about you, man. But the cussing. Nick wants to know, what time is your stream?
It will be at either 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, depending on when I wake up. But I'm gonna try to make it a 12 o'clock thing to get it out the way at the top.
You're gonna have to do better on the giving people an hour duration.
I know. I got to make sure I can get it. Hey, listen. Follow me on Twitter, and I'll make sure I put out another video like I will, and I'll just let you know. I'll let y'all know like the schedule on the Saturday streams. I
got $2 super chat from Duvi. Probably butcher that. It's why we're gonna move on. Am I missing something? Anyone could be an ambassador. Anyone could be an ambassador on that website, but this isn't the same thing.
It's not the same thing, and that was my mistake. When she had MVP, I figured she held a high-ranking title, but I just thought I didn't know like what the capacity. Because I was like, I'm an ambassador over there, and that's why when Smooth, when he applied, I thought he applied for the same thing that I did. So I was like, wait a minute, I was more confused.
No, Smooth has been banned off Xbox Live before.
Good Lord.
So we got you didn't have to do that. I was about to read that one. We got $2 from 108. I don't curse on my channel either. I didn't say you cursed. I was just saying, because I know sometimes I let it slip and I'm trying to do better on it. I was just saying, I'm trying not to cuss, man. Because if you start cussing, I'm going to start cussing, and then we're all going to start cussing the limit. I can't do that. I got to be the better person. If you are contributing to my cussing, we all going to be cussing fools around here. But I appreciate you for coming up. We're going to have 108 Dragon on next week. I love having the guest already because I don't have to worry about that next week. But I appreciate you for coming through, man. Hit that like button if you guys don't mind. We didn't get to 200, but, like I said, I was reaching for the stars. I knew I was going to get the stars. But everybody, go follow Hustle on Twitter. Show up to that Saturday stream. And until next week, this is The Addict Show, and we out.